Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, including Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, and Rick and Morty. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hello.
Today, Delaney and I will be discussing the season finale of Rick and Morty, Season 2.
Ooh,
Woo, and also very sad. But yes,
cheers. Much bad.
it has come upon us, and this is the end.
Ian,
This is the end for
year.
apparently a while, if Mr. Poopy Butthole
A
is to
year
be
and a
believed.
half,
Yeah,
not more.
if not more. That's not what I wanted to hear at the end, but there we go. As always, our Rick and Morty podcast may not be suitable for younger audiences, along
This
with
one
the
is
show.
so not.
What?
This one's so not.
We'll see. I don't know if this is more inappropriate than normal, but at least I don't know about the episode.
Squanchers involved.
Well, there's a lot of squanching, but who knows what that means. So we'll get into what squanching means. We'll talk about Rick's character arc, what this episode was, and at the end we'll rank every episode from season 2. I know literally ones of you are looking forward to that, but I will for sure be doing that. Someone asked me on Tumblr to do that, so.
I know, I saw that, and I reblogged it and said, ugh.
Well, get ready, because you're going to have to do it too.
I literally just got back from being out. Okay? I'm under duress. Let me try and I'll work on it.
I mean, I'm not saying that you have to do it during the podcast. I'm just saying eventually at the end. Okay, so overlyanimated.com is where you can find, while we are doing the end of the podcast, overlyanimated.com is where you can find out everything about this podcast. And even though our Rick and Morty coverage is done, we'll probably continue to talk about the show in some fashion. Maybe we'll do a season 1 rewatch, as we've been talking about. And also we are covering Moonbeam City, which is a similarly minded show. So you can check out that and check out our podcast, Moonbeam City, on either Wednesday nights or Thursdays. So yeah, Delaney, let's get into, I didn't mention the episode name, but The Wedding Squanchers. Okay, first of all, the title. Makes I don't think this is related to the Wedding Crashers, which I assume is what Squanch is in place of, but who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah.
It's on context. We don't know.
Yeah, it's a context-based language, yeah. Okay, so
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Let's get it. Okay, Delaney, what did you think of, and spoilers, of course, Delaney, what did you think of the season finale, Wedding Squanchers?
I mean, at first I was just like, oh, it's whatever. Jerry's the worst. Typical. And I really enjoyed it because Squanchy's great. And I was just like, oh, man, this wedding bird person, this is awesome. And then, of course, talking about Rick's past, and then just blow my mind in, like, the middle of the episode. Like, just Tammy pulls out that gun. I'm like, oh, my God, what am I watching?
Big turning point, yeah. And then things actually happen, yeah.
Like, I get so, I'm really impressed when I actually get legitimately shocked watching something. And I'm always a fan. Like, it's always great. Like, you got me. Good job.
And what did you think of the episode overall?
It was amazing. Just Rick's arc, like what you said we were going to talk about, and just like the family dynamics. And Jerry, once again, can just go somewhere else. Though I am excited, I think this sets up a really interesting thing, I think, for Jerry's character, potentially.
Ooh, interesting. We'll get into that. Him not being the worst? Is that the...
Yes. Possibly.
Okay. Possibly. I don't know if that's
But
possible.
yeah, no, this is just awesome. I loved it. It was so good.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it. I wasn't in love with this finale, I guess. It's hard to compare this episode to other episodes of Rick and Morty, because this is actually a plot episode. Whereas that's kind of never happened before. Maybe the last episode of last season, right? But that was basically it. I think that this episode is kind of lacking in ways the other episodes of this show shine. Of course, it was great to have plot things happen at the end, and what Rick ends up doing, I think, is makes a lot of sense with what we've seen this season, and I'm very happy we have a really concrete arc with him, and I think it was very well done the entire season. I don't know if I felt that much about Rick doing something. I'm not super emotionally attached to Rick. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to be when he's just a giant dick all the time, except he wasn't recently, so that's the interesting part.
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, I think that this is a good, like, season finale plot episode, but in terms of how to stack this up against other Rick and Morty episodes, it doesn't compare favorably. I don't think it's...
Well, it doesn't have there's no sci-fi.
Yeah, it's not doing the thing that the show does, which is take, a sci-fi trope and then go above and beyond a parody or a satire of it into something crazy. Definitely doesn't do that. That's one area
I mean, the
where
closest is the planet, and even then, that's just
the
like, oh,
planet,
whatever.
yeah, it turns into a Interstellar parody a little bit at the end, which I loved. But when I'll talk about that. But it's
That went over my head.
yeah, apparently. I mean, I don't know if it wasn't specifically typical over Delaney said it wasn't specifically an Interstellar parody, but that's what I thought of for sure. And
I haven't seen Interstellar. So
I mean, massive spoilers for the movie, I guess. So it's but whatever. That movie's a mess, so it's okay. And so it's lacking in that. There's a little bit of a parody with the undercover agent type thing, but they're playing it straight. That's the thing. They're like it's like legitimately happening. So I'm not sure what's up with that. And
that's kind of like a really interesting idea, though.
It's an interesting idea, and they execute fine. Here's the thing. This episode is good enough because it stands on its own, and it's like a legitimate television episode. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. The show is... Okay, so the successful episode of Rick and Morty takes the sci-fi satire above and beyond. Number 2, it's hilarious. Number 3, this is a good, successful episode of the show. Number 3, it's legitimately interesting within its own contained mythology. So that's the crazy part, is if you can have something that's super satire and incredibly funny while still like being true to its own characters and to its own world, and having interesting things going on in that, like interesting internal mythology. This episode does that. But I only think it does 1 of 3. I don't think this is one of the funnier episodes this season. Although that's obviously subjective, so whatever. And it definitely doesn't do the first one. So comparing to other episodes, it doesn't hold up a lot. But I'm not as interested in discussing, that type of thing. I think it's kind of a mistake to do this type of episode at the end of the season. I mean, other people have reacted favorably to this. You love it. AV Club loves it. Like, I don't know.
It's just you. No.
I would just prefer a typical Rick and Morty episode. I like, to me, this isn't like, we only got 10 episodes this season and only 4 of them end up being, incredible Rick and Morty episodes. And even if you love this one, it's not the same as those 4, right? It's just a different type of thing. And I want more of that, not more of this, but that's a personal preference.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough.
Well, I think, we both had wanted, like, from season 1, we had those moments of, like, oh my god, there's actually a plot.
Yeah.
So I do think we do get that, we definitely get that in this finale, and I think... if we had more of it... So that's the thing, this isn't so much plotty as this is Rick's arc.
I do warm up to this episode looking at it through Rick's arc, which is what I did on second viewing,
But you're also not as invested in Rick.
I don't think Rick's arc is not super important to me about this show. I think it's interesting when they do it. But like, to me, what's more important is them turning out like individually incredible episodes, right? Yeah. So, but then having this great arc with its main character also adds to it. So that's good. So
we can also we have to have the daily Korra reference. I mean, the early season, book 3 of Korra is the best. Like, those episodes, every single episode of book 3 is astounding and it's just incredible. But then, in context of the entire show, what's incredible about Korra is Korra's arc throughout all 4 seasons. So I think we might be able to have something like that here. Like, so maybe season 1 is more like. Of course, I'm hoping we get to season 3 and every single episode is amazing.
You're saying that Rick's arc will this season will be viewed more favorably once we have a kind of wrap on Rick's arc, and
maybe,
yeah, which I think makes sense. Perhaps. Yeah, like looking at it in the context of this season or episode by episode, the arc isn't that important. But looking at it from a show-wide perspective, it may be something that's very vital to the show and can be seen more favorably now. I'll buy that. Okay, let's go through some specifics. Or we could talk about Rick's arc now. Let's do that first, I guess. So the big thing is the end of this episode. He makes this decision to turn himself in and to let the family go back to Earth. I think one of the problems about this being a plot episode is that's the only plot episode this season, and it's all contained within this episode. So it seems a little bit. It's not necessarily a problem, but that's maybe a reason I'm not reacting to it as much. So it's a little bit fast and. Maybe packs less of a punch than it could. But that being said, Rick's decision here is not self-contained within the episode. We've been talking about Rick's arc throughout our podcast this season. the big highlights are him at the end of episode 3, autoerotic assimilation, and him. When else do we talk about Rick's arc? There's another big moment, I think.
Well, is it when he becomes like Little Rick?
That's true. There was a lot going on in Big Trouble in Los Sanchez, and I actually look back at last episode as a really great precursor to this one. I didn't think last episode. I've been kind of changing my views on last episode a little bit. I think it holds up more favorably than I thought it did. But last episode, what I noticed
after my brilliant analysis.
No, it wasn't your analysis. Don't worry. So, but what
Wow.
what I'm thinking about from episode 9 is that Rick is kind of, it's notable because Rick becomes kind of the moral entity and Morty becomes like the amoral entity in that episode, an inversion of their relationships. And I thought like, wow, why is Rick caring about what's happening and not wanting to interfere and like just not giving a shit in general, right? Or like he kind of giving a shit and also not giving a shit about like interfering and stuff like that. And I think it like makes a lot of sense now because he's just getting more and more kind of depressed and not into his usual hijinks and stuff like that. And I think that works really well within his arc in a way which I didn't really realize within episode 9. He's less and less Rick from the first season. Okay, let's read our weekly quote from Zach Handlin's AV Clip Review. Speaking of Rick, he says, maybe the most unexpected turn this season has been seeing the occasional glimpses of his, I guess we'll call that humanity for want of a better word. Having Rick be a genius sociopath hedonist worked just fine last year, and slowly realizing that he loved his grandkids and his daughter and tolerated his son-in-law, no matter how many times he swore at them, helped give the character some necessary depth. But this season has, without ever belaboring the point, been in part about why Rick is the way he is, and his mania and callousness are a cover for a deep-rooted depression and self-loathing. Agreed. Great analysis.
Well, yeah.
And
we've talked about that like several episodes
for
ago.
sure. That was already apparent in episode 3.
Yeah.
But what it's doing now is showing how his kind of act in episode 1 about this as Zach calls it, a genius sociopathic hedonist. His hedonist act in season 1 has kind of just been a cover, and now it's been eroded away throughout the season. We kind of saw it last episode where he's Morty's the crazy one, and he's just trying to get out of there, and he doesn't want in on the fun and stuff like that for the most part. It kind of regresses a little bit, which is to be expected. And here it's just gone completely after like the final straw is this terrible thing happening with the undercover agents, and now he just like doesn't give a shit anymore, and there's no visage of this hedonist personality. He's just back to his kind of core self-loathing state, and that's why I think that his decision just makes total sense here at the end.
Yeah, and well, also, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily not caring. It's he cared too much, but he refused to like acknowledge it, and then literally everything was taken from him.
It's like his layer, his false layer is like a callousness, the uncaring, and then underneath he really does care about his family and the people around him.
That's why Bird Person's death
that really got to him. And he was just downplaying. Like in the beginning, he's trying to put back up his shields in his lair and be like, oh, I don't, marriage is the worst and I don't really care about that and whatever, Bird Person, whatever, you're not that close to him, right? And then he gives that speech and he's genuine, really, his wedding toast, and it's kind of this weird genuine moment from the show, and then right when he shows emotion, it's kind of a terrible thing happens to him, yeah. So in that regard, it's really well constructed, I think, this whole episode.
I think that's also like the beauty of this episode is, yeah, we talked about it so initially. Like, I mean, it is in this season, but this is very self-contained. I do think that's something good about the episode. That's a strength of this episode is that it is self-contained. Like, I don't think it's rushed. Like, I do think the pacing is well, and then I do think it happens all very timely, and it's all together very well.
The structure of the episode, I think, is good. Yeah, plot happenings wise. I think that Rick's motivations will seem rushed in this episode if you're not thinking of what happened previously in the season and last season. So that's kind of my big question is how ultimately is Rick's arc played this season? Because as Zach points out, it's without ever, being, what does he say? without over belaboring the point, he says Rick's arc. So I think the big question is, do they not belabor the point too much? Is it too subtle what's going on with Rick? Is it not that much as much of a focus? So when it comes up here, maybe it still seems a little bit because we've mostly been getting this hedonistic Rick for the season, even though we've gotten these glimpses of his underlying layer. It's still mostly been the Rick that we know. So I think it might seem not super genuine or super warranted, like earned this decision by Rick to some people. I could see people reacting like that.
Yeah, well, I think that's in general just when you're not watching as critically as, not necessarily like you should be, but if you're not watching it as critically as... But I don't think it needs to be necessarily the most obvious thing either, because that's what's so fascinating about Rick. It's that he's such a complicated character.
He is. I think what I'm trying to get is the problem is when you do the only plot episode of the season, when you have the only big character episode of the season, arguably episode 3 also is. In fact, it is, I think. Yeah. You're kind of playing with fire when you make a big heel turn for a character. Because this is kind of there's been slight build up, but all at the same time, most of the stuff happens here and his big decision happens here. And I think it's possible that they could have been more, pronounced with what's going on with Rick. And I think in their decision to make every episode super self-contained, that they might not have executed the season-long arc as well as they could have. I think to your point, it's something that we're going to look back on from the entire show whenever that happens, whenever the show ends, and we'll see for sure. But right now, looking back, I'm not thinking, wow, this was one of the best character arcs I've ever seen. I'm thinking this was this was like pretty solid, especially for this show. But I'm not thinking like, wow, this is incredible.
Well, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted on... Granted, it has to do with like the nature of the episodes. I think if we had more, it would have felt really fake. Like it would.
That's possible. It's possible you can't execute a incredible character arc in this type of show. I mean, it's already kind of unprecedented. I mean, maybe The Simpsons do good things with Homer sometimes, right? Like maybe there's, but for this animated kind of adult comedic show, I'm not sure there's a precedent to such an incredible character arc.
Well, and it also, they play off a lot. I mean, I think we're also downplaying like what happens in this episode and the impact it just has, like, because you can have a really traumatic event and that can trigger, like, that happens in real life. Like, that's how people are. And Rick just watched, like, I mean, he kind of worships Bird Person and a lot of the things he says about Bird Person, as much as Rick can worship someone or, like, see someone as a little bit better than him. Like, and to see him die and, like, completely, like, everything he'd been running from, like, just flip on its head. I think, like, I don't know, like, I think everything that happens in the episode, just, it makes sense. And they also, this might be a bad thing. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I do think they play a lot on the surprise.
Yeah.
The shock of it.
This is probably the most traumatic thing that's happened with Rick. But I also think he does shrug off kind of these big things a lot of the time.
But I also don't mean I don't just mean the surprise for Rick. I mean the surprise for the viewer too.
Yeah, sure.
Like this is a shock, and just in general.
Yeah, it's played straight as a twist. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they play it well enough, and then I think that shock is enough to maybe disguise a little bit of it. Might be a little weak. It might not necessarily it might have happened too quickly, but I don't know if I would have wanted more in the previous, like we wanted more in the previous episodes, but what I wanted wasn't built up to this. Does that make sense?
If you give more, maybe you disrupt the incredible self-contained episodes that we got. So, that's the trade-off, I guess.
Also it just felt fake, like, because there are certain moments
yeah, you're right. It could feel not as genuine, yeah.
Because a lot of these moments in the episodes, like in episode 3, like they're very genuine. And in Look Who's Purging Now, like, well, we were surprised, but they were genuine moments.
Yeah, and
so I think it's a difficult balance.
Which is why I'm leaning here on blaming this episode and not past episodes in terms of, I mean, who's to blame? Apparently, it's a great episode, but it's if there is blame to assign in terms of
TV.com right now, and like of all the grades, this one has like a 10.
Well, TV.com, what a place. I've not been there in a while. But apparently... Okay, apparently... Oh, yeah, yes, you prepare. And so if there's a structural problem here with this arc or with this being a plot episode compared to other episodes, the easiest path of least resistance I can see is just taking this episode out and replacing it differently. So, but I mean, I'm not saying that this was bad or it should be changed, but I'm just saying I'm leaning more on this one, them planning this one the way it is rather than not adding stuff to the other ones. Anyway, okay. I don't know if we need to discuss that more. So let's get into specifics. So yeah, the twist, this big twist at the end. Let's talk about that first, or not at the end, in the middle. I think there's two kind of main points to make about this. One is kind of just
how. I do think there are two twists, but
I guess Rick giving them up, is the big twist, right? Too at the end, is that the one? Or yeah, not? Like yeah, giving himself up. So yeah. So this Tammy twist, right? So the 2 points. One is how just kind of brilliantly constructed this whole thing is.
Like we've known Tammy.
Here's been around. I'm trying to remember a past comparison to this, but it's so brilliant that they structure this wedding on Tammy and Bird Person. I think we were speculating like who's getting married in this, right? We don't even remember Tammy and Bird Person.
I mean, I knew because I watched the preview.
Oh yeah, you were saying okay. So
you were like spoilers.
That's me always though. This is just this recurring gag in the show, and you're taking a recurring gag and building up genuine moments through it in the finale, because of how much they've kind of inserted it into the show. It's like just been a legitimate thing. It was episode 5 that had precedent toward it. We saw Tammy and Bird Person there, and of this season, episode 5, and it was, it's just been kind of brilliantly inserted to the entire thing, and then to build a major twist in the episode around this, and this is all just coming from this throwaway gag in the finale last season. Completely not planned to take this any further than they were, but they realized that they can kind of structure a legitimate plot arc around it, and I think that the most rewarding, I feel like there's precedent to this, like just taking a running gag and turning it into like legitimate plot things, and I think it also always works really well. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And the second,
because I mean, I just meant like, sorry, that sounded like but I mean, when you sprinkle things throughout, and then especially with a show like this, like you don't really expect things like this to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like we freaked out when, like, they buried their bodies in the backyard, then it actually came up later, like. When they do things like that, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's another thing of the show having any recurring plot arcs. It's always a surprise plot element.
And building the mythology, kind of. Like
building the mythology of the show. The second thing, I think, is that a more negative thing about the twist, which is that it makes no sense. In what universe? It have to make sense. It's not a super. I don't think this is a very big negative about the episode. Like, and ultimately don't care that much. But it should be pointed out that Tammy being an undercover agent for the Federation makes no fucking sense. So let's just make that clear. I don't.
I mean, well, this goes to the absurd, like that the show does.
I think this one is just actually absurd, though. How she's been undercover as an agent on Earth. You have to remember her introduction is that they have this party and then he meets her there. And even if she's trying to force that, how does she know that this is like the inn to Bird Person? And then she's been living with Bird Person for years and can marry him and then just callously shoots him at the end. It's just all absurd.
It's great.
I love it. I don't know if it's great, but it's it should no.
Well, I think it's very Rick and Morty.
This is a twist where it's like, oh, I never saw that coming. Of course you didn't. Like, it makes no sense. Of course you didn't see it coming, right?
Yeah, this is true.
It is.
I don't know. I appreciate that.
It does seem very Rick and Morty, though. At the same time, just Tammy being the undercover agent is kind of hilarious too. So,
it's just great. Well, it's really funny because like we take she's a high school senior and she's just some teenage girl and it's great.
Her speech was pretty wonderful when she was revealing it. Yeah.
Yep, I loved it.
It was
I bet the entire idea came out of like not necessarily like they knew from when they made Tammy this was not the plan, but I just think like it probably came out of like what if she just like revealed herself in the wedding speech, like.
Yeah.
Like I imagine like that entire idea had to have like that's what this came out of. The idea of someone like.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's possible. I do love speculating on in this show specifically how they come up with some of these crazy ideas in the writers' room. That's like a great thing to always do. Sometimes, she's like, sometimes I say to myself, Tammy, you're a high school senior from planet Earth marrying a 40-year-old bird person, and then I say Tammy, yeah, but then in some ways I'm not and then It's
And her parents are cyborgs.
Your parents are cyborgs. See, that was pretty great. That makes sense at least because we've never seen that before too. Okay. Specifics of the episode starting in the beginning. Sure. This courier flap in the beginning.
Just what even?
It's pretty great. He's Bird Person's Oscar party, which is light years away, so don't spoil him.
I like that. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. Weddings are
Don't tell him Braveheart wins.
Don't tell him Braveheart wins, yeah. Funny. Weddings are basically funerals with cake. If I wanted to watch someone throw their life away, I'd hang out with Jerry all day.
That was so good.
And then he's like, "What do you know? What do you know about friendship, Jerry?" And he just confirm shipping Jerry.
I love it.
Makes no sense. Here. Why would Rick phrase it like that? Like because he clearly enunciates the ship in friendship just to make it so it'd be a believable confusion. And then we're on Planet Squanch, which is apparently a thing. Here's my question: why is Bird Person having his wedding on Planet Squanch?
It's a destination wedding, obviously.
Okay, there you go. Bird Person is not from Planet Squanch.
No, he's just. Would he want to get married on his own planet? No, it's destination.
Oh, I guess that's how the vast galaxy works. Why would you ever get married on your own planet? Yeah.
Obvious. People here don't people on Earth have destination weddings.
They don't go to different planets.
Can we go to? I would get married on Mars if I could.
Okay. You do that.
Okay.
It'll happen in 20 years. So
you won't be invited.
Why wouldn't you invite me to your Mars wedding? Come on.
Because you're being rude about it.
That's true. Fair point. Doesn't it be?
Just record at the wedding and be like, "This is why Dylan isn't here."
Oh yeah,
okay.
Save the recording. Doesn't that become tedious and worn out? Like that Squanch thing, and it's more contextual than literal. And Beth's like, "I squanch my family." Yeah, it's
so
great.
Rude of Beth to say, but it's like you can just see the Rick in her.
Bird Person's like, I'm glad you can make it to my welding with Tammy, and Rick's like, make sure you get a pre-meld. Pre-meld. When she's done with you, you can get back one of your balls.
I laughed. Okay. That was a really good line.
I like how Morty's instantly offended from Rick saying getting a pre-meld. He's like, he's just disgusted.
Morty,
yeah. I like how there's just this 12-year-old kid or whatever knows.
He just believes in the purity of love and marriage. And it's you're adorable.
14, yeah. Jerry networking with the alien. This maybe line of the episode. Jerry, get a job. Jerry, don't look for a job at an alien wedding. I don't get you. Jerry.
No, I did really appreciate that. It's been constantly Jerry get a job. Jerry get a job.
Definitely a Jerry get a job arc all season. Yeah. Tammy's parents says he's a wonderful person and an incredible bird, says one of the cyborg parents. Yeah. Isn't he 40? And then Jerry goes off on that. Okay, Jerry thing to do.
It's just with feet in your mouth.
Yeah. Morty and Rick at the bar. And Rick kind of talking to him about that. Nothing to run from, nothing to fight. Can I have 1 part grandson pep talk and a lot of vodka? I have a lot of vodka, says the bartender. Yeah. Okay, then I'll take that.
I really like that. Give me that. I don't need the rest.
Yeah. Then we have kind of this backstory setting up with the Galactic Federation considers us terrorists, but I am inebriated, says Bird Person. Okay, so wanted to mention, I think that this Galactic Federation thing is very well set up throughout the season. We kind of been hearing about them all the time, and we kind of been wondering. And in season 1 too, yeah, we kind of been hearing about them. We've been wondering the backstory of Rick's character, right? And it kind of we get more details here, and it also comes to the forefront. So I think it was very well set up this season, this element.
And I think we're maybe getting to the point why was he gone for 20 years? He was at war.
Yeah, true. That we also have the war aspect with Bird Person. Yeah, again, theoretically against the Federation. I didn't know the Federation was run by the creatures that we see in episode 2. Right.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I think the what's his face is the assassins, alien type.
Michael.
They seem to be running the, the Federation. Okay.
Which makes sense. It's very Doctor Who-y.
Yeah.
Intensely Doctor Who-y.
the wedding. Bird person's vows. I was approaching infertility before I met you, but there is still time.
I just that was just
And they're
the
like,
vows.
"Aw." Yeah, that was wow. What a
Jerry's crying.
yeah. Pronounce you squanch and bird person. Do we want to speculate on what squanch means?
Oh, we can't. Like,
Because it's contextual, yeah. So they can just insert it anywhere they want. What do you think of the cyborg photographer?
I thought it was really funny, and then like it continued throughout the episode, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm not staring.
I'm not staring at you. I'm taking your mugshot.
Yeah,
it's
that was great. Yeah, yeah. Because we hadn't seen that before. Like you'd think we'd have seen that as an alien invention, but no.
But
also, that's like an advanced technology that just makes no sense, right? Why do we need this?
Cyborgs. Why do you need to be a cyborg photographer? Can't you just have like a floating camera or
yeah,
something?
Exactly.
Like, why do you have to have a giant robot and like his only job is to take pictures?
Yeah.
Or maybe they're already photographers because they're cyborgs, so maybe they're already photographers and they just do it so they can take better pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. They choose to have that enhancement. I don't know.
Great speculating. I still think it still seems not practical, but
no, it's not, and that's why it's great.
Yeah. Rick's toast about opening myself up to others, and yeah, that's all very great.
I enjoyed his like note to himself.
Yeah, his note was like speech, and then it said cut yourself off, stutter, and then ad lib. Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yeah, then crumple up paper and throw away.
Yeah, crumple. Okay, that too. Then we have the betrayal scene, which we talked about. Shooting everyone the portal gun, and then they Squanchy taking the thing, have a taste of my squanch, and then
I thought that was kind of a unique twist because usually it's like cyanide.
Oh yeah, true. Well, I think they're going for a Jekyll and Hyde type thing. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
Like a Hulk type thing, yeah.
No, they were going for the Hulk. Well, like usually, like if there's something in somebody's teeth, like it's cyanide.
Yeah. But no,
so that was interesting.
Yeah. Rick says the Galactic Federation, they think they control the galaxy. I disagree. That was on the ships. Then they escape on one of the Federation ships, I believe.
It's like a worm thing.
Yeah. What do you think of this whole action scene with them escaping?
I really enjoyed it. Also, Jerry is an idiot.
Obviously.
Picked up a party gun. I just really liked it, and then I really like Squanchy going like, "Go to your family."
Yeah, Squanchy, heroic Squanchy.
Yes, I'm heroic Squanchy.
A little bit disappointed with the use of Squanchy in this episode. I feel like we could have We could have more. There's no squanching him in the. He did sacrifice himself, but there's nothing as good as his initial character.
This is true.
Them on the ship. Geez, Rick, you can't say "fuck you" to your granddaughter. Here's your dessert. Fuck you. Yeah, Rick. Everything. Yeah. They can't go home ever. Earth will be swarming.
Also, I felt bad for Summer.
For Summer, yeah. I don't know. Is a possible complaint that they don't do that much with Summer? Like they have more Summer this season, but we don't necessarily have an arc for her. She's kind of just there at the end.
She's just kind of there. But then also, I don't really know if she needs to have an arc. Like she's just kind of like less annoying Morty.
Yeah, she's kind of has herself together right now. So what is he? Yeah. Okay. So then,
I think she's more like, I mean, I do like Morty, and like Morty gets more bearable, but sometimes it's like I'm going to strangle you, Morty.
Yeah.
But then Summer is just kind of like she's played straight a lot, and like, and she's not unlike Rick. Like she makes a lot of comments that are very Rick-like.
Yeah.
And she's just sassy teenage girl, which I can relate to. I appreciate her.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a Summer arc next season.
And she's a bit more real, like her crying, and
she does seem like more of a real character than Rick and Morty. I think so.
Yeah, like not necessarily developed, but more like a person.
Yeah, for sure. I think. I agree. Fuck Earth. You realize our planet's name means dirt.
Great.
And then there's 3 Earth's similar planets that are outside of the Federation, and they go to each one. This is the interstellar.
Also, now we suddenly have the computer that we're just going to talk to the entire time.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe they had that before.
Sci-fi elements that we play up, but we don't have like that big one.
So this is kind of an Interstellar parody. At some point in Interstellar, they're looking for a Earth hospitable planet, and then they go to them, and they each have like various things wrong with them. But obviously, it's not for comedic effect. There, it's it's just one of them was this ocean planet with this giant waves all the time. And it was just incredible effects. Like, I don't know if I've seen better than that. Anyway, so they go to the small planet. How do you know it's not Earth? Yeah, because there's no Africa. White people problems, Morty. Yeah.
That was good.
Guess this one's a little small. I do like the visual gag of them. Oh, I thought we were further away. Yeah. And then we keep going with it too later. The second planet is the Cobb planet. Get in the ship. Everything's on a Cobb. The whole planet's a Cobb. Go.
And then he's like, "Give him a car."
He's very devastated. Yeah, very.
And then Jerry actually says something later. Like, I don't really understand what was wrong with it, but
it's pretty great. Yeah, them not explaining why that's horrifying. The third planet is the sun. Oh, look, the sun's rising.
I really like that.
I think that was the biggest laugh of the episode for me, was the sun planet. How long are the days? 42 hours.
No. Screaming, they're like, no.
It's either this or the small planet. The Cobb one is not an option. Yeah, that was great.
But it's like, why?
Yeah. They're on the small planet and they're watching the news. What do you think of the Galactic Federation anchors?
They're great. They're so good. Like, they worship kangaroos.
They eat spaghetti and worship kangaroos. Kangaroos and spaghetti. I gotta go there. Yeah, Ministry of Tourism. What do you think of the Federation having ministries?
I mean, again, this is actually Doctor Who. That's what this is. So naturally, they have to have ministries because,
true. And then at the end of the anchor segment, teenagers are calling it, right? And it's not what you think. That's the perfect news parody, local news parody. Is the teenagers are great.
So good.
And
it's just so funny because they literally, their facial expressions don't change.
Yeah.
But the voice actors do such a good job.
That's true. I don't know who voices them, but they do a great job. They found a new species of pig and then hunted it to extinction for breakfast.
Because they were tiny.
Yeah, well, because there's not that many on the planet. It's small.
Yeah.
Dad, you can't talk about people behind their back. It's a small world. Yeah. South Pole discovered, and then he goes in the cave and finds the planet's core, and it's right below the cabin. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that it was the core. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. You have to gonna do whatever Rick wants whenever he wants. Yeah, because you have to. What unconditional love is, kind of genuine moment. It was.
I really like that. Good job, kids.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if that was a healthy opinion for them to have, but I don't know.
I don't want him to leave as an asshole.
Rick.
It's a funny line.
Yeah. Rick leaving to get ice cream. I can't. I'm not. You're coming back, right? If I stayed there, I'd be going to the place with ice cream, right? Not. Yeah. Not bringing
it wouldn't
back.
Actually getting ice cream.
Yeah, it'd be going to the place. Yeah. Kind of. You definitely see it coming here, right? Even Morty sees it coming. And he's like, I can handle it if you go, but you'll break Mom's heart. And then he leaves and calls as Jerry. I'm Jerry Smith, and I love sucking big dicks and looking disgusting furry testicle sex. There you go. That was the line.
Quality.
I like how even at his most depressed, he still has to get in a Jerry dig.
Always.
And then the guy's like, okay. Right? There you go.
Yeah.
Turns himself in at Plim Plomp Tavern. We talked about the emotional ramifications of all this. They're back on Earth. They get saved,
also,
right?
The music is so good.
The what?
Music.
The music, yeah. They're playing.
In that moment.
They're playing. Apparently, they're playing. Whatever by 9 Inch Nails. Hurt. There you go.
Oh yeah.
They're back on Earth, alien Earth customs. I prescribed that you were processed that you were distressed. Prescribed antidepressants. Report to the Ministry of Employment, and you will be assigned a function.
I feel better already.
Yeah. I'm not staring at you. I'm taking your mugshot. We talked about that. And then
that's what I'm talking about. This is setting up the Jerry arc.
Interesting. Okay, what Jerry arc do you think this is setting up?
Well, so we're in this. Clearly, we're going for 1984. That's what this is. The ministries, and you will be assigned a job, and we're going for general dystopia, but very 1984-ish. And so he's given medicine, and he's gonna get a job, which is all Jerry's wanted. He wants a job. He's finally gonna have a purpose, and then we've kind of had this before with Jerry, but I think this will be the actual thing. Is he'll be doing his job, and he'll see how freaking miserable everyone is around him because because Rick is probably being tortured or whatever that's happening to Rick. Like, something terrible, like, or Rick's just in jail and they can't visit him or whatever. Because they might execute Rick, like, because, what are you in for? Everything. Like, they've been looking for Rick for forever. So I imagine we'll have, like, Jerry, like, kind of realizing, like, Jerry, stop being a freaking loser and actually do something.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of Jerry coming into his own and, like, going through, like, because I could actually see Jerry not necessarily becoming, like, the hero, but, like, kind of dismantling from inside. Like, the family working together to dismantle the system.
Interesting.
That's where we have to go with this.
Oh, because Jerry
is going to break Rick out.
Okay, because Jerry gets a job inside there, and then, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Jerry, like, we're probably going to have a few episodes in season 3 where, like, Jerry's just like, guess what? Oh, man, work is just great. And then everyone's like, shut up, Jerry. And, like, everyone else's life just sucks. Like, school's probably terrible.
Yeah, well, this is the big question, because at the end, Rick's inside with a Mexican security prison in this, like, box thing. So the question is, how long will this arc continue to last season? You said a few episodes. Like, how is Rick going to be in prison for more than one episode? Because the show needs Rick as its main character.
Yeah. Well, I think that might be interesting. Is what we'll see is that I could see. I can't see them breaking out Rick out in the first episode. That would be very much. I think we'd cheat a lot. We'd cheat ourselves out of a lot if we wanted that even. So I think we'll have several episodes, not a ton, but not even half the season. Like probably 3 episodes max of like establishing this new society on Earth. Very Doctor Who, like how the humans interact with aliens and like how we deal with like now that we've communicated with the universe. And then, and then Jerry finally realizing this is actually terrible. Maybe even Jerry's having a bad time or whatever. And then breaking Rick out or like working with Rick's friends or whatever they're going to do to like get Rick out. And then it's going to be family fuck up the Galactic Federation. Like that's what it's going to be.
I'm very skeptical of them having more than one episode with Rick in prison. We'll see. I know it seems like it's cheating this big plot development, but that's kind of the problem with the plot development in the first place if you're just going to overturn it, which I think they will.
I could see us starting next season, Rick's just out of prison, and
they'll just...
That could be interesting, too, because Rick is just... We'll just see this completely, like, destroyed Rick. Though I can't see him getting out of prison, because, like, unless Rick is immortal, which we've talked about before... like he's in for everything. Like if they don't kill him, he's just gonna be in there forever.
Yeah, I guess. So they need to do something about it.
Something has to.
It should be noted the cliffhanger from last season was resolved in this season within there's the first episode was about resolving that, right? And obviously this is a bigger cliffhanger, so you have to address it in more detail. Also, what you were saying and what this show, what happened now with Earth, kind of reminds me of the end of season 3 of Doctor Who with the Master, and it's like just like changes overnight, right? Into this from what we see. So that's that. I don't know if that was an intentional parallel, but that reminded me of that.
Well, that's definitely that's all I could think about was like it's just so Doctor Who-y.
Yeah. And then in the stinger we have Mr. Poopy Butthole.
The best stinger ever.
It was a very good stinger.
Ever.
I like it. He was watching the credits. It was great. Woo-ee, what a cliffhanger. Hi, I'm Mr. Poopy Butthole from episode 204. I always like when characters reference production numbers. I don't know if it's happened before, maybe on this show, but still recovering from when Beth shot me. You remember that? Come and get it, kitty. Take these little fellas help me get through the day. Him attacking the pizza guy. You think the Smith family is going to be okay? Ooh-wee. You think Rick's going to get out of jail?
So good.
Tune into Rick and Morty season 3 in like a year and a half or longer and see how we unravel this mess. Okay, first of all, if this show is not back, this is a year and a half, because I guess that's how it was between first and second season, unfortunately, but that is too long. Why are they...
Yeah, no.
At least they told us, I guess. What a brilliant idea, having Mr. Poopy Butthole do the singer. Right? It was pretty great.
And it was just so great, because when he attacked the pizza guy, I was like, this is me right now. Where is my pizza guy to attack? Like, this is how I feel right now. It's so good.
And I do worry that they're setting up an unbreakable precedent referencing that it's the end of the season at the end of the season. Yeah. It's like we have to do it again next year. We did it twice in a row now. Yeah, so
like, you have to do it. Like it's a thing now.
So I don't know. It was very good here.
We keep doing it in great ways because like the way we did it in both times is completely different.
That's true. I mean, what if we just don't have Mr. Poopy Butthole all of next season and then he's just there in the credits again?
I might be okay with that.
Maybe, yeah. He's just such a good character. They have to. We need a petition for making him a regular next season. I think that obviously has to happen.
Mr. Poopy Butthole all the time.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
He can be the actual leader of the Galactic Federation. It's him.
It's him. That would be wham! What a twist! What a twist! Okay.
Right.
AV Club gives this episode an A. What grade do you give it?
A.
Okay, I'm on like B. I mean, we talked about this in the beginning. We don't need to get into it more. Okay, I'm going to rank the episodes, and then you'll rank the episodes. God. Number 1 this season is episode 4, Total Recall. This is not a conventional opinion, but this is one of my favorite episodes of all time, of any show. Number 2 this season, I am putting episode 2, Morty Night Run. It's close between this one and my third choice, which is episode 6, The Ricks Must Be Crazy. But I ultimately think that episode 2 is funnier to me, and I just love the assassin, and I love the fart and everything about that. Ricks Must Be Crazy, I've heard called one of the best episodes ever. I think it's very good. I think the B plot's incredible. I think the A plot is a little too basic for me to be higher, but it's an incredible episode. Episode number 4 on my rankings is what did I put? What is number 4? This is a good question.
Jeopardy. What is?
No, wait, help me. Which is my 4th? Is it? Oh, it's just the first episode. Okay, episode 1.
I don't know. Is it? Do you have it in the outline?
No, I don't. No, I'm doing it now. I'm That's why you can hear me typing. Rickle in Time, okay. Episode and number 4. Okay, then let's go to the bottom and do it this way. The worst of the season is episode 5, Get Swifty. I think that one's pretty clear, and most people agree on that. Although I don't think that episode is bad. I think it's very solid.
It's probably one of the funnier ones.
My second least favorite is Interdimensional 2 Cable 2 Tempting Fate. A funny episode, but I ultimately don't need to see this improv format again.
Fair.
Okay, so now we have 5 to 8 to figure out. 8 is going to be Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, for sure. That's the Small Rick episode, right?
Yeah. With the dream, not the dream, the what do they call them? It's like the marriage counseling.
Yeah, the avatars or whatever. I don't know what they call them, but
yeah, I can't remember. It was a really cool name.
Okay, so I still have to rank episode 9, episode 10, and episode 3. So that's what. Yeah. So my 7 is going to be episode 3, autoerotic assimilation, which seems a little high, but I don't know. That means my 5. Oh man, this screwed up my ordering. My 5 is going to be episode 9, which I've come to appreciate a lot more, which is Look Who's Purging Now. Yeah. And then which leaves episode 10 as my 6th best episode of the season, which seems okay.
Wow, that was really hard to follow.
Okay, I'm gonna because I did it in reverse order. I'm gonna go. Okay, so now I'm gonna give you my definitive rankings, and I'm pretty confident in this. Okay, episode Total Recall number 1, Morty Night Run episode 2 number 2, The Ricks Must Be Crazy number 3, A Rickle in Time number 4, Look Who's Purging Now number 5, The Wedding Squanchers number 6, Autoerotic Assimilation number 7, Big Trouble in Little Sanchez number 8, Interdimensional Cable 2 Tempting Fate number 9, and Get Swifty number 10.
Okay.
Your turn.
All right. Oh, I hate doing this. I've had very little time to prepare.
Go quickly.
Okay. I'll just go 1 to 10. So my favorite episode is actually the Ricks Must Be Crazy, which is the Inception episode.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
So I think that's the best. And then Morty Night Run, because just Jerry Daycare. Like, I talk about Jerry Daycare all the time. No, okay, that's not true. It's gonna be the Ricks Must Be Crazy, Total Recall, then Morty Night Run.
Okay.
And then probably A Wrinkle in Time, simply because, like, the last part of that episode.
Okay.
And then
probably episode 10 for you.
well, no, maybe, yeah, that one.
Okay.
The wedding. I actually want to rank the Wedding Squanchers higher, but I don't. I'd probably tie with another one.
Okay.
Like, I will probably post like a legitimate better one on Tumblr when
go. Keep going. Next. What's next?
Autoerotic Assimilation, because I really liked that episode and you didn't.
Yeah. That being said, I have it as number 7 and not much lower than you. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then I think I would actually rank Look Who's Purging Now above Interdimensional Cable 2, Tempting Fate.
Okay.
And then Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, even though I really liked that episode.
And then Get Swifty.
And then Get Swifty, even though I loved Get Swifty.
Our rankings are very similar. So that yeah.
Well, I mean, naturally.
Because my opinion is so good that it influences your opinion.
Sure.
Okay, so send us your rankings, I guess, somewhere, Tumblr. Or you can put in the YouTube comments if you're watching this on YouTube.
That's a thing now.
Yeah. So, there you go. 4, 2, 6, 1, 9, 10, 3, 7, 8, 5. So overall this season, that's great. That was my that's a code. That's a secret code for you. Let's
secret code.
That was the episode numbers ranked. Let's
let's
grade this season. I think that this is worse than season 1.
Yeah.
It's okay. Okay.
I think based on like the best of the season might be better than season 1, but overall.
It might be. The episode 4 I think is the best of the show, so yeah, I can buy that.
I think if the top of the top is better than the top of the top of season 1, but overall the quality of season 1 is better than season 2.
Yeah, I think that's true. So I think overall it's hard to call such a great season of television, which this is, a disappointment, but I think it turned out worse than I expected it to be.
Yes. If we were expecting to be blown away every week, and we were not.
Like, there's a solid 4 episodes, potentially even 5 and 6, which I genuinely don't think live up to most episodes of the first season. So, like, how could this not be disappointing? That being said, obviously it was a treat to watch, and the show is incredible. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I do wonder if part of it's the charm has worn off a little bit, maybe, because I remember when I watched the first season, it was just like, oh my god, what am I watching? Like, it was just like, this is amazing, and then just every episode just kept, like, you know, the shock constantly, like, what am I watching? Is this television now? And then
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that might be a factor.
I agree. That being said, I think it's also possible them diverging from the formula, which has created some of the worst episodes of the season. So,
yes, definitely.
We'll see what they do.
And relying too much on Beth and Jerry, who are honestly cardboard cutouts at this point, and Jerry is actually like a slug.
So I think next season we need either do something with Jerry interesting or not have him on the show as much. Especially is also true for Beth.
Yes.
And
or do something. Yeah, same thing.
I think summer on the season in more detail was a good idea. But I also could use
more summer.
Just have what?
More summer.
More of summer. That's possible. I mean, this season was more of summer. We just didn't ultimately do something incredible. Okay. So that's it for our Rick and Morty discussions this season. Hope you all enjoyed them, and we'll check out our other podcasts. And stay tuned for more Rick and Morty coverage, I guess. Send me your rankings and stuff, and what you thought of the finale. I assume most people loved it. I'm Dylan Hysen, that's Delaney Stovall. You can find more about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, and Jamie, aka Hannah, Fever, Mitch, Cordell University, Beatrix, Strange, Buzz Like Your Mailman. And we'd really appreciate your support on Patreon. That's it, Delaney. Last comments?
It was a good season, but it could have been better.
It is going to be an extremely long wait. That is true, but
Yes.
my primary kind of thought process right now is no Rick and Morty for a year and a half. That's great.
It's gonna suck. Well, at least we have like, I mean, it's not like with Korra where it was like, where are we? Is Korra even a thing still? But this is at least we have like a vague idea.
There's not really, the problem is there's not really a replacement for the show. I mean, like Archer,
No.
if Archer was in its prime, it could be like, okay, Archer's great, and maybe Moonbeam City is
Well, we
good,
have
but
Moonbeam City, and we're
Moonbeam
getting
City
there.
is like a new show which hasn't found its groove yet, and Archer's past its prime, and it's like, what am I supposed to, watch like this show? And I don't know. So we'll look for a replacement, but there's nothing can replace.
Probably just rewatch season, in all honesty.
It'll probably be what?
We'll probably just rewatch season 1.
We'll just rewatch season 1. There you go. That's the conclusion. Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. Check out look out for more content. Thanks for listening all season long. And we'll see you on future podcasts. Bye.
Bye.